Welcome back to the Citizens Defending Freedom show. Coming up today, a video of a Citizens Defending Freedom member that went viral after she spoke out at the recent Florida State Board of Education meeting, and the vulgar response from a teacher who is an avowed Satanist. How there are more than 100 books in Hillsborough County schools that Citizens Defending Freedom believes violate Florida obscenity statutes, and how a school board rejected a bid to allow boys and girls choir as conservatives win again in Texas. All of that and more ahead on today's show. But first, before we get started, head to our website, citizensdefendingfreedom.com, and hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss out on any of our content. The executive director of Duval County Citizens Defending Freedom, Kathleen Murray, spoke at the Florida State Board of Education meeting in support of new penalties for educators who break Florida law by using titles or pronouns that do not align with their biological sex. Teachers can now lose their license if they provide LGBTQ inclusive lessons to students and if they use bathrooms or pronouns that don't align with their biological sex. In her remarks, Kat states that she identifies as an overtaxed wife, mother of four, and retired naval officer. The video was posted on Citizens Defending Freedom's social media and has since gone viral. Take a look.
Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Murray, Executive Director for Duval County Citizens Defending Freedom. I identify as an overtaxed wife, mother of four, and retired naval officer who is bewildered. Bewildered that it's necessary to publicly speak out in support of this amendment, Rule 6A-10.081. Bewildered because sometimes between the time I graduated from a Broward County public school to when I retired from the Navy 24 years later, the public school system is unrecognizable to me. And there is a Supreme Court justice, a woman, who can't define what exactly is a woman. Our organization represents the vast number of Duval parents who believe in the science of biology and the First Amendment, which supports educators in speaking the truth by calling biological boys and girls by their correct pronouns. We're saddened this amendment is necessary, but grateful to the Florida legislators who codified policy that supports true science and free speech. We would do well to remember that normal, healthy adults do not get angry when they can't talk to children about sex. Predators and perverts do. Thank you.
Next, we have members of the public. Remember, please, we want to keep it civil. I know there's very high emotions on both sides, and we want to make sure we listen to each person and give them the respect they deserve.
We sat down with Kathleen this week. What were you specifically speaking in support of?
So once implemented, this bill would allow teachers to exercise their First Amendment rights to call boys and girls, biological boys and girls, by their proper pronouns. It was that simple. And that's why it was so ludicrous that we even had to show up in Orlando to exercise or show support for something that should be pretty obvious, and I think is obvious to most people. But you wouldn't have guessed it by the crowd that was there in opposition.
Were you expecting the overwhelming amount of support you received after your video went viral?
Not at all. In fact, I can't stand social media. I happily delegate that in Duval to a couple of volunteers who love it. I wasn't even really paying that much attention until Sarah sent me a text over the weekend. And then the funny thing was, I told my kids, it's like, well, hey, I got, at that point, it was, 5,000 or 6,000 views. And nothing like your kids to keep you humble. They're like, well, Mom, until you get about 1 million, it's not considered viral. But still, it was fun.
Thank you, Kathleen. An avowed Satanist who's also a teacher also spoke at the meeting. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Cree, and I'm society's worst nightmare. I use they, them pronouns, I'm a Satanist, and I'm an educator. I'm not talking to you. You guys look at your phones, cross your arms, make your faces at us. I'm talking to the people here who actually care about the future of our generations. Kids in my neighborhood come to me, knock on my door, and ask me to go outside and play with them. They know I'm gay. They used it as a slur word, and I asked them what was wrong with it. They took a moment and thought, and they said, nothing. And then they said, stop being annoying. And it was as easy as that. You can change all your rules and try to prevent us from being in school, but people like me will always be here to educate them. I am here, and there will always be evidence of us. Back in cave drawings in Italy, there is homosexuals on cave drawings from there. You will never erase us, and we'll always be educating people.
This is what we are up against, and it's our duty to keep attending these meetings to speak boldly and support the Florida Board of Education as they continue to rule in favor of parental rights and protecting our children. The meetings take place monthly across the state of Florida, and their locations can be found on fldoe.org. Conservatives are severely outnumbered at these meetings. We need you to step up to help change that. More than 100 books in the Hillsborough County School District violate Florida state obscenity statutes, according to Citizens Defending Freedom researchers. Hillsborough County Citizens Defending Freedom have been in contact with the state's attorney's office and Hillsborough County Sheriff's Department regarding this matter. The law bars from schools any material used in a classroom made available in a school library or included on a reading list that is pornographic or prohibited under statute or is inappropriate for the grade level and age group for which the material is used. Section 847 of the statute makes it a crime to knowingly distribute harmful materials, including pornography, to minors. Some of the books that Hillsborough County Citizens Defending Freedom says violate the law include Genderqueer, Lawn Boy, and This Book is Gay, which are riddled with explicit content and in some cases pornography. All of these books are among the most challenged books in America, according to the American Library Association. According to Hillsborough County Citizens Defending Freedom, who consulted with the Hillsborough County State's Attorney's Office and the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, those authorities concluded that even if the books violate the law as written, they do not have a specific victim and they are not sure who to hold accountable under the law. But according to the statute, the school board ultimately is responsible for all reading materials that are provided or made available to students. Each district school board is responsible for the content of all instructional materials and any other materials used in a classroom made available in a school library or included on the reading list, the statute says. Citizens Defending Freedom says that school board members who promote these materials should be held accountable for this alleged law breaking. Here with us today is Executive Director for Hillsborough County Citizens Defending Freedom, Debbie Hunt. Debbie, what was your response to being told that since the sheriff's office doesn't have a specific victim, that they aren't sure who to hold accountable?
Thank you so much. Quite frankly, I was shocked that they felt like they didn't have a victim. The victim should be any child that picks up and reads the book. What they're missing is the fact that if a person doesn't develop their frontal lobe of their brain until they're about age 25. So when they pick up these books and they are reading them, they don't really know how to process them. And it sets their mind in a way that it's not yet ready to be set, which I would term that as sexualizing the children.
How can citizens support your efforts to remove these 100 books?
They can continue making phone calls and sending emails to the school board members. They can send emails to the state attorney, Susan Lopez. They can be prepared because in the near term, we will be doing a call to action for people to show up and speak out about it.
Thank you, Debbie. Citizens Defending Freedom is celebrating after the Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts rejected a push by the LGBTQ activists to allow boys to join the Singing Girls of Texas Choir. The Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts School Board also barred girls from joining the Texas Boys Choir. In late June, the school board voted 4-3 in favor of using biological sex to separate the choirs, despite the fact that LGBTQ activists wanted gender identity to be the defining factor. On June 27th, members of Citizens Defending Freedom, along with other conservative groups, attended the school board meeting where the determination was made and asked that the choir remain segregated by biological sex. After 3 hours of public comment, the school board adjourned for a closed session vote, during which they voted in favor of the conservative efforts. This is another great win for kids and parents in Tarrant County. A simple solution would be to establish a co-ed choir in addition to the girls' choir and the boys' choir. This is the second major win for Citizens Defending Freedom and conservative groups in Tarrant County in the past 2 weeks. Also in late June, the Keller Independent School District voted to bar boys from girls' restrooms and to stop students, faculty, and staff from using preferred pronouns. This came after Citizens Defending Freedom utilized our Title IX toolkit and engaged with other groups and citizens to speak out at the school board meeting. And finally, this past Saturday, thousands of God and American-loving families flocked to libraries around the nation to participate in See You at the Library Story Hour. This event, which was spearheaded by Brave Books and Kirk Cameron, focused on sharing books that are family-friendly, faith-filled, and promote American values. Over 260 libraries across 44 states participated in the book readings and also included special readings from Kirk Cameron. Additionally, Riley Gaines, who gained notoriety for speaking out against competing alongside trans athlete Leah Thomas in the NCAA championships, joined Cameron at the events to speak on the importance of protecting girls in sports. Citizens Defending Freedom had the privilege of hosting and participating in several events across 3 states, and the turnouts were fantastic. The story hours, despite intense pushback from the American Library Association, were an amazing success. It's very encouraging to not only witness but participate in such a huge win for families and faith in the culture war facing our nation. As you can see from today's show, Christian Americans are standing up to protect their values, and the tide is shifting in our direction. At Citizens Defending Freedom, our goal is to help Christians stand up for themselves and their communities, and our efforts are working. There are plenty of reasons to remain optimistic about the future of our country. Before we go, we want to leave you with our inspirational Bible verse of this week. This week's verse is Galatians 6:9-12. And let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of household of faith. As you can see, Citizens Defending Freedom is doing important work. Help us today in our fight to protect children and push back against these radical ideologies. Please visit citizensdefendingfreedom.com, where you can learn more about our organization and generously contribute to our cause. Have a great day, and make sure to like us on social media and tell your friends about the great things we're doing. God bless.